What made you break up with the person you thought you'd marry? Doesn't really fit here because I did marry him in the end, but in retrospect I should have broken it off before it got that far. He wasn't who I thought he was and I wasn't who he wanted me to be. He was depressed, obese and had huge self-worth issues and some trouble with alcohol abuse. The relationship ended up being more of a caretaker-patient thing, with him making me feel guilty when I left home for work, and spending spare time with someone else was unthinkable. Short term I figured he'd get better, but he refused therapy. He tried starting 4 studies but lost interest sooner with each of them. With this getting progressively worse for 9 years, in the end he had no diploma, no income, was heavier than ever, drinking daily and relying on me for everything. Leaving was difficult, but it was the best thing I could have done for him. He finally started taking responsibility, started therapy, and now he's financially independent, taking care of his body and doing all kinds of active things with friends. In the meantime I'm happily taken and feel a lot more free to pursue my goals and dreams with a partner who's also aiming for the stars. Both of us were alcoholics. I met him at age 22, he was 26. Love at first sight. It was immediately understood without even speaking of it that we were just going to be together now, and that was that for 2.5 years. I have still never met someone I have loved entirely as much as I loved him. And when I broke things off with him, I honestly think a piece of my soul died. Because I have truly never been the same since. My mom and dad were both alcoholics and it up my childhood. I had a drinking problem myself that I didn't understand yet. My drinking increased when we began dating because it seemed so normal to indulge more with him. The more I drank, the more neurotic and needy I became. The more he drank, the more he just faded away from the world. He always drank to the point of blacking out and I hated it. I would see his facial expression go kind of blank while we were out, and I'd know he was blacked out, like, nothing there, dead behind the eyes. And I'd wonder where the guy I loved was. I'd tell him we needed to go home and he'd brush it off and refuse. He had to close the bar down no matter what. He'd just always get so hammered. Seeing the man I loved really drunk would always trigger this really lonely and dark sadness inside me. I felt invisible like I did to my parents my whole childhood. And he drank like, every day. He never slept at night so much as he actually just kind of passed out. I always felt like I was sleeping next to a ghost when he was passed out from drinking. I felt like I was dating him, the perfect person, and then also his twin, who had nothing to give and no life inside of him. It was just a shell of him. It broke my heart constantly. After some time of cyclical arguments, usually while both of us were drunk, I started to realize he didn't feel like he had an issue, and I wasn't sure he would ever face it. I wanted to face my issues. I wanted a better life and better mental health. He was not in favor of making changes. He had socialized with the same group of guys since he was 5, all of whom drank to blackouts regularly, and his dad was a big drinker. They were from a privileged, upper-middle-class kind of circle where binge drinking was just normal because they went to more expensive bars and only drank craft beers and whatnot. I'd how to explain it. But there was a disconnect there between us. There was no part of his life that didn't revolve around alcohol, and I knew if I didn't get away from that lifestyle, I was going to end up miserable or maybe even dead. I still fight for my sobriety every day. He just got married last month. I saw photos from the wedding, where he had a drink in his hand in every photo and the same blank, drunk expression I could never cope with. I wish him the best, and I still miss him every day. I hate alcohol for all of the in life that it absolutely destroys. You did love her though. You loved her in a way that is much more important than romantic love. You believed in her, and you celebrated her individuality. Nothing could be more intimate and meaningful at the juncture that you were in each other's lives. Your character is extremely admirable, and I suspect you'll make someone feel very fulfilled someday. There's someone out there who will rejoice in celebrating you the way you fostered the celebrating of her. What a wonderful thing to do for someone. My partner in a similar position told me if I really loved him I'd stay in our hometown when I graduated from high school the year after he did and wouldn't go out of state to pursue my education, my art, and reconnect with my family roots in my original home state. I couldn't stay for him and he resented me for it and said if he ever saw my face again he would scream at me and leave. I am a very loving-hearted person so I struggled with this. Wrote a lot of letters unsent and cried a lot tears. I wonder how things would have been if I'd known even one person then who believed in my dreams. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the gold and I am so pleasantly surprised to see this story get so much love. If anyone would like to know I went to school, changed my focus a bunch of times, worked in various jobs relating to my passion, and have successfully made a living doing what I love since then and have had the time of my life doing so. I did run into the ex a couple years back and he did not scream in my face, at all lol. He actually tried to act quite chummy with me and it was awkward. That's it. A few years after that I met my now partner of 2 years who is the absolute love of my life and really just came out of nowhere when I was least expecting and hit me with the biggest wave of love and support and passion/vigor that I've never experienced and hot damn I'm never letting go. I'm glad I followed my heart and lived my life before finding him. Otherwise I may not have been able to notice how special he really is. Though honestly he's also incredibly gorgeous that's probably not true lol. I seriously hit the jackpot. Wow, I can't believe how relevant this thread is to me right now. My dad just dropped me back off at my house from the hospital 45 minutes ago so this literally just happened. His fiancée was watching my son while he took me. The last 4 days, my fiancée has decided to stay at her new co-worker's house either overnight or until well into the morning. I told her that's ridiculously not okay to do when you're engaged, even though she claims it was just stress relief playing video games with a new guy friend. We also have a 4-month-old son that I've been taking care of for the past 4 days she's been gone, and I've been very sick with what I thought was a stomach bug. Well, this morning I fainted, and she insisted I just get some rest and maybe go to urgent care if I don't get better. Then I lost my ability to keep any liquids down and was insistent that she take me to the hospital then go home and take care of our son. This was too much to ask though, as she'd already made plans to meet this guy again tonight. She walked to her work and left her family behind to go spend the night at his house. I told her that if she chooses to abandon her family to go spend time with another man, who I never accused her of cheating on me with despite the numerous red flags, then her family won't be waiting for her when she gets home. I involved someone in my family out of necessity, so my dad took me to the hospital and his fiancée watched my son. My fiancée's last text to me simply said I can't come home so I guess I just lose everything. After multiple chest x-rays and an abdomen CT, it turns out I'm not sick, but the stress caused by my relationship started causing massive problems throughout my body. Oh, and apparently I have a kidney stone. I know it was petty, but when I got home I just sent her a picture of our son and told her that this was who she chose to give up on tonight. *Edit. After reading a lot of these other posts, I'm realizing I should probably have left her much sooner. I was engaged to a guy I'd dated for 3 years and planning a destination wedding. He cheated with a mutual friend one night. His mom, who he lived with while we were apartment hunting, accidentally walked in on them in the middle of it while letting the dogs out. He didn't know his mom had seen, but his mom called me and told me what happened. He denied it when I confronted him, which made it worse. Called off the wedding and broke up, etc. Weirdly enough, he got married about 5 years later to someone else in the exact same destination wedding location/venue/package/colors I had always dreamed of and planned out for us. He must have kept my planning binder and just reused it or something. Edit. Whoa, this blew up. Made a clarity edit because guy did not sleep with his mom. Answering some questions here. Could his mom have been wrong/was it a plot to break you up? No. He finally came clean after I said his mom had walked in on him and called me. And the mutual friend admitted it to me too when I confronted her. His mom was basically sobbing when she called me because she didn't want us to break up, but knew she should tell me. I'm actually sad about losing the mom so much more than my ex. She was awesome. Some other things were revealed about him later too, like he lied about finishing his degree at university and had failed out instead. I dodged a big bullet for sure. 2. What happened to the mutual friend? Well, she and I definitely stopped being friends. She wasn't even apologetic when I confronted her. She had also been in a relationship that she broke off. They ended up dating for a while after that, which was a bit of a mess because my ex and I ran a large, well-known community together. The rumors of what happened got out, but I attempted to be civil about it for the sake of the community. They, however, parked in the front window of the weekly venue and made out for everyone to see as a way of announcing their relationship. Super classy. 3. What happened to me? I ended up moving across the country a few months later, meeting the man who is now my awesome husband of 8 years, and we just had our first kid last year. I'm much happier with this outcome.